Thank you for joining back with us. Don't turn that dial. We're talking about youth and homeschooling and also bringing back the youth focus on our country's grassroots, which is very important. I'm a firm believer in that. We have wonderful guests with us today. We have Missy and Vince Como, and they do homeschooling, and so they are full of knowledge, and we're glad they're here. And well, Vince, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Missy, for coming back with us. Our topic is bringing back youth focus on our country's grassroots. How important is that in today's world?
Well, if you look at what's going on in the world today and what's happening in this country, I think we're losing our way. We're forgetting how we were founded, what I think God destined this country for. And it's going to be a focus that we need to really look at our youth. And we need to bring back goodness to America. And I just feel that that's what we've lost, is the simple goodness. It's not a government program that's created to help others. It's people helping people. So if we can bring back goodness and still the heart of a servant, and I believe that should be the focus for our kids, is first and foremost, you know, let's just be honest. It's what is it for me? What's in this for me? And we're raising our children in that in our society, and it's moved away with, well, how can I serve others? And it's a goal of ours, is to create a servant's heart in our family, in our household. And I'll tell you, we started young, with our kids being really young. We have a 19-year-old and the 10 and 12. And years ago, we began doing ministry through church and even our own family. We said, here's some money. We took money aside that we wanted to donate to different organizations, and we gave them a budget. We gave each of our kids a budget and said, I want you to come up with something. Where's your heart? How would you distribute this money? How could you reach the most people? And what took place was amazing. I just can't, I mean, she said, let's empower our kids. You know, these kids are bright, and it's not just our kids, all kids have that. They have power, they have authority that comes from God. And the reality of what took place was, one of our kids reached over 1,200 people with Bibles. You know, we found the ability through research to maximize their dollar amounts, and 1,200 Bibles went to kids and families in Iraq in their own language. So we were just touched by that. The other one wanted to literally go out on the streets, our older one, and hand out clothes, hand out blankets, shake hands, meet people. And it was a great experience. And in fact, it touched a lot of families through us, because a lot of people wanted to come in and help out. And the other just wanted to feed the hungry. You know, he always has a hungry belly, and he wanted to make sure that everyone else, absolutely. And I love his heart, you know. And we were able to get matching bonuses by donating at the right time, and they just fed just so many people. So it was just a great experience. And I just encourage you to continue to have your kids serve, whether that's simply at church, that's a family in your neighborhood, that's your own family, you know, the elders, your grandparents. Teach them to have a servant's heart.
Well, that's wonderful, Vince, and you know, I know times have changed. When I was little in school, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer, and also hear the national anthem. Do you feel that has changed our society since that come out of the school systems?
Sure. And what I think what we're seeing evolve in our country is we're taking God out of everything. And that's a reality. And we're losing what it is to be an American, because those are God-given rights. That's what we're founded on. You know, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and in those websites that we're given, I mean, there's a website to get a free Constitution. You know, we need to be back to that focus. You're absolutely right. We need to put, in my opinion, we need to put God in everything, but I understand the separation of God, but the reality is our rights come from Him, okay? And that's how we were founded, and we need to go back to the founders of this country and what their virtues were, their values were. Those documents separate us from the rest of the world. My goodness, if you read what our Constitution and Declaration of Independence, there's a huge separation from the rest of the world and how they were created and founded. And if we get back to focusing on what the founders really set in place, which was, I believe, a destiny for America, and we can't forget history. You know, there's such a, I believe we're rewriting history in our textbooks, and we need to be greatly concerned about that. And we need to continue to educate our kids with truth. about history,
Yes.
about the founders, and about how this country has moved. Because if we lose history, we're destined to make new mistakes that were in the past. And we don't want to go and follow what other countries are. We were set aside. We're that country on the hill that's to shine light on the rest of the world. And let's just be honest, the rest of the world looks to us on all things. And we provide to all countries, and we need to continue to do that. And if we go back to what you called grassroots, you know, it's people helping people. Once again, it's not a government program. It's about people working hard, people loving on each other, people serving each other. And that's what the founders knew. And they knew with those articles and documents that were set forth to us, we need to keep that focus. We need to keep that education in our families. And frankly, don't just count on other people teaching your kids. You know, that's why we did start homeschooling. That was one of the reasons. We need to be there. We need to be holding them accountable,
Yes.
and holding ourselves accountable. And we need to make sure, because we need a new leadership, right? There's a lot of things happening in this country, but we need to go back to these founding roots that our founders created, and with God's word upon all this, and instill that back to our children. And then we'll begin to raise true leadership in this country.
You had mentioned leadership. How do we get the youth of today to get there tomorrow and become leaders? What should be our steps as just, whether we're, you know, fathers, mothers, grandmothers, grandparents, how do we get them there to be leaders?
Absolutely. And they don't have to be homeschooled. I'll just say that. But you need to dedicate time. And you know, we're talking about bringing back goodness. Well, there's a word that I've been given, and it's called excellence. And excellence is being that mother who can take care of everyone in that family, get up early, yet still love on those kids, still work with them on their homework. We need to be focusing on the things that they're doing, the lives that they are leading, and help direct them. And then we need to empower them. Okay, the father that works all day and comes home and still takes the time out to play with those kids. You know, we travel, and we're blessed enough that I get to bring my family with us because of being homeschooled. And we just had that vision that we were destined to do more. And we want to raise these kids for greatness. So we start with that servant attitude, and then we walk them through with the ability to empower them and get them to think outside of themselves. You know, what would you do in this situation? We bring them into seminars. They listen. They go to the church seminars. They go to the financial seminars. And they're sometimes on my conference calls and hearing the deals that we make with people and how we do business. And the fact is that when we start to train them young and work with them, let them be kids, for goodness sakes, there's no question, but allow them to have a personality that they evolve through, and just have trust in them. Let them make decisions, empower them.
Do you feel that today's youth doesn't really quite have the respect that they used to, like when you and I were growing up, saying yes ma'am, no ma'am? And
Yeah, great question.
And do you blame the youth, or do you sort of blame the parents of those youth nowadays not pressing to hear that?
Yeah, great
Share
question.
your feelings on that.
Well, you know, I think it's kind of both. And the reality of it is, it starts with the parents, you know. Did your parents teach you to do that? Well, yeah, but it's being lost. You know, we have younger parents that are coming up, and we have a world that's shifting and a country that's shifting. And I think the focus is more, what about me? You know, it's this, you know, technology, which is good, but can be bad. And it's this, we're living a lifestyle that's losing the focus of relationships. You know, all the Facebook and the Twitter, and these things can be good, but they can be dangerous too. And we got to get back to talking to people, talking to our kids, and teaching them to be respectful to others. And that's making a great leader as well. We have to have a humble heart, and we have to show respect. And we make our kids say, you know, Mr., Mrs., you know.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's just, and they need to say thank you, or there's a pop upside the head, you know. I'm kidding, but the reality is they need to know what respect means. And whether they agree with that person or not, they need to give them the respect for whom they are.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. You're right. Well, Missy, I mean, as you homeschool, how do you bring some of this back to the grassroots of our country? With the way that you teach daily your children when you homeschool?
Well, I love this country, and I think that I served in the military, and I really have a love for this country. And so I think that comes across when
That's great.
when I teach my children is I just remind them where we came from and where this country came up out of. And they, as long as I have breath, I will speak that. Don't ever forget where this country came from. Don't ever forget the providence that is over this country. And you need to take that with you where you go, and you
That's
need
right.
to walk in that freedom and appreciate those who have given their lives for your freedom.
That's right.
And don't ever forget that we love the military and we support them. And we've written letters to them, and because I know how to, I've never served in a war, but I have served overseas. And
thank you for that.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. I'm honored. I am honored to do it. So I will always remember and remind them that they have to hold on to that, and they can't just let it go. They can't just sit back and say, oh, well, I'll let somebody else make my decisions for me, because that's not where we came from.
Do you find that there's some hope for families that have questioned homeschooling, and also, Vince, going back to the, the bringing the youth back to our country's grassroots with respect and so on? Is there hope? I mean,
It's funny
because I
that you
think
say that.
sometimes we think, oh, there's no hope in doing
Right.
that, in a change.
Right, and it's funny that you said that, because that was a word that was actually on my mind right now as we were speaking, is I think this country's losing hope, and in doing so, they're losing faith, and we have to have both. We have to have faith in what's unseen so that we can restore hope, and we need to bring back hope to others.
That's right.
And I know that there's hope, because this country was founded on it. There's so many Americans across this country that are fighting for hope and fighting for freedom and the rights of people. Government has a role, but it's not to oversee all things. We need to make sure that we understand what our rights are. We need to get out, not only and vote, we bring our kids to vote. We educate
Yes.
them on what these people stand for. So you're right. When
That's
we
good.
need to restore hope back to America, and it's there. Don't lose it. Don't give up, and keep fighting.
That's right.
Well, and do you feel that it starts with us as parents, or
Sure.
even grandparents, that have
Absolutely.
influence on the grandkids?
Right.
So,
Yeah, I love hearing the stories that come from the grandparents and the battles. I mean, my dad grew up in Italy, and he was there during World War II when America was bombing Italy. But he gives thanks for this country because he realizes what it was founded on, where anyone can become great in
great,
this country.
Vince.
And those are instilled in our children. They hear those stories. We need to keep history. Once again, we need to remember what it is and where we've come from. So, yeah.
that's wonderful. Well, we'd like to flash up on the screen your information that you've provided for us and for our audience out there. You can look up these websites for AZ Families for Home Education. The websites are afhe.org, focusonthefamily.com, askedheritage.org, and familymatters.net. These are some great websites that we're so grateful that you helped us put on our screen, and I know that as you go out and you spread the word, we're so thankful of your dedication to the youth and you being here today as guests. So thank you so much. We look forward to hearing more about you. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you. Take care.
This program has been sponsored by the Trinity Broadcasting Network and made possible by your telephone dollars. Your continual support can keep Joy in Our Town brought to your home every day. So write Joy in Our Town, P.O. Box A, Santa Ana, California, 92711.